Wheeling Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, September 13th, 2018 is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Belanova.
I'm here.
Commissioner Creech.
Present.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Powers is here. Commissioners Kalis and Dorban informed us that they will not be here tonight, and Chairman Rafato.
Here. Thank you. Brooke, any changes to the agenda?
Yes, there is a change. Under item 7A, PC 18-14, the petitioner has requested that we table this item. They plan to return to the Plan Commission at a later date.
Okay, great. When we get to that item, we'll have a motion to table. Thank you. Citizen concerns and comments. Is there anyone? No, there is not. Thank you. Consent items, docket number SCBA 18-37, temperature, equipment. Nothing is showing up.
Yeah, we have technical difficulties.
We have nothing.
Nothing on the screens.
There we go.
There we go.
Thank you.
And it's gone again. Oh, it's a consent item. Docket number SCBA 18-37, Temperature Equipment Corporation, 550 Northgate Parkway, appearance approval of a wall sign. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Powers, second by Commissioner Belanova. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Belanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Creech.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
And Chairman Rafato.
Yes. Items for review, docket number PC 18-14, Pizza Roncadin. Do I hear a motion to table?
So moved. Second it.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Powers. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Belanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Creech.
Yes.
And Chairman Rafato.
Yes.
He's working
Okay.
on it, so
Okay.
might be a couple minutes.
Okay. I will talk slowly then. Docket number 2018-23, H2O Express Car Wash, 966 South Milwaukee Avenue, special use site plan, approval of a car wash. Mr. Secretary.
Docket number 2018-23, H2O Express Car Wash Incorporated, property owner is seeking special use site plan approval as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-06 Commercial Districts, Chapter 19-10 Use Regulations, Chapter 19-12 Site Plan Approval Requirements and associated sections in order to establish a car wash at 966 South Milwaukee Avenue, which is Zone B3, General, Commercial, and Office District. Standards for a special use. A zoning special use is defined in Title 19 of the Village of Wheeling zoning as a use of a parcel of land that requires review and consideration before approval due to circumstances or effects on the surrounding properties that may adversely affect them. In order to be considered for a special use, the petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at the public hearing why the request meets the conditions of the village code, including but not limited to how the proposed use will not damage the enjoyment or use of the surrounding properties. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that their request for a special use meets the standards established in Title 19. The Commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the Village Board. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Brooke, anything to add?
Yes. First, I'd like to say that the staff reports and submittals of the petitioner are part of the public record.
Okay.
Also, we received some revised plans this week. The petitioner will provide you a copy of the revised landscape plan. There were some other minor revisions to some of the plans, but they were so minor that I don't think we need to go through them. They just added some, or corrected some labels, and that's all at this
So
time.
our packet does not include the updated landscape plan,
That's correct.
which seems to be probably the largest topic of conversation tonight, along with these. Okay, thank you. Is the petitioner here? Who will you be the only person speaking on this matter tonight?
Probably not.
Okay, who else will be speaking on this matter?
I have the petitioner here, I have the engineer, the architect, and the consultant.
Great. So
needed.
if whoever's going to speak, would you please stand up?
Victor, Victor, Victor.
Thank you. And would you all raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And as you come up to speak, just please give your name and business address clearly into the microphone so our recording secretary can have that. Thank you. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Good evening to the commission. My name is Alan Jacob, and I'm the attorney for the petitioner applicant for the special use permit. This comes before the commission on docket number 2018-23. The name of the proposal is H2O Express Car Wash. It's located at 966 South Milwaukee in Wheeling. This comes under Title 19 of the zoning code. The proposal is for a standalone automatic luxury car wash facility. It proposes to be a state-of-the-art 5,000 square foot building. The plans include 2 rows of covered parking with vacuums, room for 36 vehicles to stack. Operating hours are Monday through Saturday, 7 to 9, Sunday, 8 to 6 p.m., and the maximum number of employees during peak hours are 5. There were a couple of items in the staff report that I'd like to address. One of the questions was, what is the purpose of the car prep outside lane? The purpose of that lane is if somebody pulls into the car wash and they want to remove an antenna, put up a convertible cover top, fold in mirrors, roll up windows, or do whatever they need to do before they move the car into the wash, they could do that in that lane. Another item on the staff report were the vending items. What kind of vending items would be for sale, for retail sale? Some of those would include things like car chargers, chamois, wipes for the car, small items like that, that a person can purchase at the site. One of the other items on the staff report was a lack of a rack for at least 2 bicycles. The amended plan includes a 6 rack for the bicycles near the vending area. And then there were other issues, the elevation plan labeling, which I think was corrected, the signage, and then the screening from the residential surrounding properties. There is foliage around. However, the amended plan includes adding more foliage to screen away from the residential area. As for the landscaping plan, we do have one here we can submit to the commission. I know that Ms. Kessler said that it is not, but we can provide it today. And then the last item of note on the staff report was, how does this car wash distinguish itself from another car wash in Wheeling located at 400 North Milwaukee? That car wash at 400 North Milwaukee is approximately 1.9 miles north of 966 South Milwaukee. That car wash takes approximately 20 to 30 minutes to complete. It's a full-service car wash. The cost is probably double what this proposed car wash is, and it's a track system for the car wash. The proposal for H2O is that the car wash is 3 minutes or less. The cost is probably half that of the one at 400 North Milwaukee. It's automated, it's not full service, and it's a belt rather than a track, so it could accommodate low-riding vehicles or higher-up vehicles, and it just moves it along the wash without pulling it with a track system. With that, and I also want to present to the commission 2 photographs. I know we don't have an easel here, but this is what it's proposed to look like. It's more like a bank structure than like a car wash. It's kind of aesthetic and state-of-the-art. And the interior of it from the front angle would propose to look like this. And then finally, one other item, there was a question about tinting or glass. I think the proposal is that the glass would be clear, see-through, so you could be able to see what the vehicle is doing inside the facility as it runs through the wash. With that, I'll open it to questions from myself or for the engineer or the architect.
Actually, before we open up to questions, we'd probably want, not probably, we want a description, if somebody could come up and describe the building and the materials. And I assume you have material samples with you?
We do.
So that would be the first step.
Okay.
And then from there, probably a detail on the landscape plan, going over the lighting, all of those wonderful things that we want to see that you should describe to us. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mitch Moe. I'm with Neary Architects. Our address is 444 Northwest Highway in Park Ridge. And the building is a 150-foot-long masonry building, brick and block throughout. There you go. It is, the exterior consists of stone and brick with limestone accents. The stone itself would be a limestone. If you have the limestone colored, a pretty buff colored, or I should say white stone, limestone.
Can you guys see that over there?
Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You can walk around with. And it is a 150-foot-long masonry building, so as part of the aesthetics, what we did was we incorporated the exterior columns to kind of break up that long length. Those are made of this stone, which is also makes a foundation for the building, and then comes up the towers. There's windows throughout, storefront windows on both sides. The windows face into the wash itself, and that is intentional. As you saw, it is a very high-tech facility, and so the windows act to kind of show everyone what the equipment does and is. The roof, for the most part, the roof is flat for the long length, and then at the towers, it is a hipped roof, standing seam, which is also repeated in the vacuum bays. So the vacuum bays consist of long bays of parking, which is covered throughout with that same standing seam metal roof that's arched. Same thing occurs at the pay station when a person enters the wash.
And you have,
I do.
you have some materials.
This is representative of the stone, of the brick, I should say.
Bring it to Jeff, he's the only one over there. Jeff, if we had enough room, we'd bring you on this side, but there's just no room.
And then here is the dark bronze for the roof.
Does this represent the building without the tower element? That's where this is going, is that right?
Yeah, the main length of the building is the brick.
Okay,
The stone is the base as well as the tower.
okay, thank you.
And then this, we couldn't get the stone sample in time, but this is representative of that. And this is kind of the limestone color. So more of a natural color for the stone. And then the windows and trim will be all white.
Yes. No, the other side is brown.
It's brown.
That's
Oh, yeah.
That's a trim. And so that's the structure. Do you have information on the landscape plan?
Yes. So the existing site is quite
Is this a
wooded
new one?
to the west.
Is this the revised plan?
Yes.
Yes.
Probably
this is-
more indicative rendering.
So do you have individual copies or just
We
that
do.
big thing that'd be tough to put in our packet? So if you have something a bit smaller. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make sure Brooke gets one.
Thank you.
So as is existing on the site, the west side.
If
of the
you
site-
could grab that microphone right there. It is a wireless handheld.
All right, so as it stands, the existing site is quite wooded to the west between the residential area and the site. There exists beyond the wooded area a retention pond as well as existing. And then to the north, there's an existing board-on-board 6-foot fence, which the intent there would be pretty much the developer and client have agreed that they would go ahead and just replace that completely with a new fence in kind, so another board-on-board 6-foot fence. And then along the west side, we've added more landscaping, more plantings, all at least 4 foot. We didn't go, heavy on the height since beyond that is so wooded, but we did add grasses, hydrangeas, things that are plantings that would do well with a wet area where the retention or detention might be.
So these are, what you submitted to us is all the revised plans with the east, north, south, east, and west,
Correct. Yeah, that has everything updated in it.
but that's not in our packet, correct?
Right, what you just received, none of this is in your packet.
And none of it has been reviewed, right?
Well, I've reviewed this, provided the same thing you received is, just now is the same thing I received a few days ago.
Yeah, it
I
is.
did review it. I reviewed the landscape plan very closely, and I do have some comments I'd like to share with you. But before I get to that, I looked at the other pages, and it looks like they only changed labels or the orientation of a layout. And so I don't think you need to worry about those. The one thing that did change is the fire truck turning radius exhibit. That was modified. And I don't know if Mr. Antor has any comments on that at this time.
Well, I'm sure we can get to that. I've got to tell you, would be helpful to get this stuff to us before we come here, because this is not in our packet, and then what we have is we have a difference between what we're seeing and then what goes before the village board. And that, as a plant commission, that concerns us. So that's number one. But hopefully we can get that resolved. So can you describe, so looking at, well, I know we're getting into questions, but let's go into detail about your landscape plan and your intentions, because, I'm looking at this landscape plan, and is this the scale?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm looking at a Google map, and that detention pond sure as heck doesn't look like this detention pond.
No, the detention pond is beyond. This is the detention for the site.
Right, that's proposed. Got it.
Correct, correct.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I was not, that is not, so describe what you're going, because you're, to the west, you talked about the heavy trees, but to the west, you've got that big detention pond there, and you've got another automotive warehouse before you get to any actually residential. But to the north, you've got residential. So describe what is going on the north end.
So there's an existing fence there that is
Yep.
actually off the property that belongs to the residential development. That would, in kind, it would remain, but the idea would be that we would replace it completely, in kind. So currently, it's a board-on-board wood fence. In the case that it get damaged or we have to remove sections during construction, and instead of replacing it piece by piece, we would propose that it would, the developer would be happy to just replace it completely.
And have you talked to
No, it's just,
association about-
that's what we're proposing that we could do if need be.
All right, I'm sure we'll have discussions about that as we move forward. So I guess the last thing, and Brooke, if you could bring it up before we open this up to questions, is the lighting plan. Do we have that in there? Okay, great. Okay. So describe to us what the lighting will be and its impact to our residents.
Well, the light fixtures within the parking lot are on 25-foot standards, but the light fixtures themselves are LED, and they are of the kind that don't spill beyond there, so they only face into the parking lot. The spillage is negligible beyond the fixture. On the building itself, there's some surface mounted, and then there's also fixtures within the vacuum canopies. But those are obviously underneath the canopies themselves.
Great, thank you.
Also, everything's LED.
Is there anything else that you wish to add?
No, I think we did address the comments made by staff. So if there's any questions at this time.
Well, before we get there, if you could be seated, this
Sure.
is a public hearing. And we have 4 names here that I will ask them to come up, and then we will go from there. So Wendy Kramer. Here, Wendy. Thank you. So, before you start speaking, please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and if you could give your name and address, thank you.
Wendy Kramer, 792 Riverwalk Parkway in Wheeling.
Thank you.
And here I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You?
First off, I'd like to start out by thanking our village board for letting me speak today, and thanking our residents of River Mill Crossings and Astor Place who took the time out of their busy schedules to come to this hearing and show support as well. I don't know if Nancy can come up with me, she's part of our board as well. I am very passionate about my family, my home, my community. And today we are here, pretty much concerned about the Wheeling residents and homeowners, myself and my fellow homeowner association board members. We're here representing 180 homeowners of River Mill Crossings, along with being a voice for the residents of our neighboring community, Astor Place. Most importantly, we are here to protect our community. So Wheeling is my home, it's home to all of us. Tonight, we as your constituents are here to speak against the granting of approval for a special use permit to Victor Churishniak for the construction and operation of a car wash at 966 South Milwaukee Avenue. I want to be very clear, we're not against commercial development in any way. I mean, development that will better the village of Wheeling. We are against development that is deemed unnecessary and negatively impacts the residents and residential communities of Wheeling, along with the environment. So this proposal of an express car wash, we deem as such. There are currently, as one point, there are currently 8 car wash and car detailing locations within a 2.5 mile radius of the proposed site. We really don't need a 9th. And the wash that they referenced to be a lower cost at 400 South North Milwaukee on that location, that's starts at a $3 car wash. So being half the price of what their starting price is, I'm not sure if $1.50 is actually what their car washes are going to be around. And it isn't a 20-minute car wash. I've been through it several times. I use it very frequently living in that area. It does only take about 5 minutes to kind of get through. So I'm not sure if the points they made about their car wash, because it doesn't sound like it's marrying up with the actual car wash that does actually sit at that location. So we do feel that the building and operation of this proposed car wash, one, will increase traffic, which leads to safety concerns. 966 South Milwaukee is located already on a busy intersection of Hints and Milwaukee. And it makes it difficult for us to get in and out of our main entrance of River Mill Crossings and Astor Place. And where they have that proposed location for the entrance, that is right next to our location for our entrance and exit to our complex. And the addition of the car wash will make only traffic worse and more dangerous, increasing chances of accidents near our residential communities where residents walk their pets, run and walk for fitness and health, and families spend time together. And if you can see in the packets that I gave you, the first location shows, they showed the opposite end of it, but you can see how that property and our homes are right there, right next to that location. And on the next page, if you go and look, it just shows this is what traffic looks like today. And this isn't even like at rush hour traffic or anything else. It shows just how traffic is backed up and people even trying just to get out of our community. And this is at any given time during the day. Secondly, a car wash will cause additional noise and light pollution. Car washes are loud when in operation. The lights will be shining in homes at all hours of the night. Sounds louder than 80 decibels are considered potentially hazardous. Here is an example of a noise study performed at Tommy's Express Car Wash in Grand Rapids, Michigan in 2008. This car wash contains 12 producer system of 15 HP each. So the blowers actually blow on there. This one just happens, so without knowing the detail on what they have in there, this blower system in this study incorporated stainless steel impeller housing. The study did state, though, that producers that use plastic housing may produce less noise. So not exactly knowing what type of blower system that they plan on installing, this study does give the representation of an express car wash's noise levels. In this case, Tommy's Express Car Wash's last blower was approximately 10 feet from the exit door of the car wash. So, and the reading started at that nozzle blower, so 0 feet, then proceeded in increments to the exit of the wash and then outside. So at the nozzle, it was 104 decibels. 5 feet away from the nozzle was still 103 decibels. 10 feet, which is at the exit door, was 102 decibels. 5 feet out the door was still 101. 15 feet out the door was 94 decibels. 25 feet out the door is 92 decibels, and even 45 feet out the door, it was still 87 decibels. So please keep in mind with decibel readings, at 87 decibels, that 7 decibel higher is not represented as being actually 7% higher, greater than the potential hazard. It actually represents 7 times greater the acoustic level. So even at 45 feet out the door, 55 feet from that last blower, the decibels were at levels of 7 times more hazardous. Noise can be detrimental to one's health, not just with hearing loss, but noise can quicken the pulse rate, raise breathing rates, increase blood pressure, and the sidewalk on River Mills property is not even 45 feet from 966 out there. Thirdly, this car wash will have an environmental impact on our community. And where they were talking, as you can see on that next slide, where that, retention wall, the retention pond is, and where the fence is, where it's located in our community, there is not a thick bunch of forest, as you can see in that image. It clearly states it's right up against that pond. So wash water does contain toxic chemicals, and that runoff has a negative effect on the environment. So adjacent to the building site where River Mill Crossings Pond resides, this pond where families go, children feed the duck, people walk their pets, is home to fish, birds, and other wildlife. In addition, Dam Number 1 East-West Forest Preserve is directly across the street. And you can see that in the next image in your packets. So where wash water, and so this area, as you're very fully aware, we have frequent flooding, within this area. And where wash water contaminants, they can be carried onto our conservation land, in our sewer systems, as well as into that pond that is feet away. I would like to read some excerpts. It's from a very well-cited document that I have provided you as well as that Tommy's Express study. You have that documentation as well, too, on the environmental impact of car washing. Washing a car may impact the environment in ways vehicle owners have never realized. Many cities in the USA and Canada have taken action, especially against detergents. Concerned governments and organizations hope to minimize or eliminate potential aesthetic, physical, chemical, and biological threats of car washing. What has some cities and agencies concerned? A 1999 Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, study on Class 5 injection wells is applicable in this case. The EPA found many washed-off pollutants to be in excess of primary and secondary maximum contaminant levels, or MCLs. Now, in the table that you see, it lists 6 of these elements that are on this table. There's more than 6 on here, but I did outline the 6 because those are considered toxic. So antimony, arsenic, beryllium, cadmium, lead, and thallium. Every single one exceeds the primary contaminant levels, and every single one exceeds health agency levels as well, the HALs. In a study of urban wastewater determined commercial car washes were a major contributor of lead, cadmium, chromium, and zinc to water treatment plant in Stockholm. The EPA raises awareness of the following list from a vehicle and equipment wash waters: TSS, pH, salts, particulate matter, oil, grease, organics, COD, chlorinated solvents, detergents, lubricants, additives, heavy metals, antifreeze, acid, alkaline waste, cited by the EPA in 1995. The National Water Research Institute of Environment in Canada, in a study of highway runoff toxicity, found many of these same chemicals running off roads are discovered in car wash waters. Many of the aforementioned pollutants are simply washed off cars. For example, the lead in the Jerome study was attributed to brake linings and tires, and the zinc to tires and brakes. There is a chance for quite a large amount of brake linings and chemicals to wash down the drain, especially considering 70 to 90% of domestic car washers see wash waters flowing into their streets and storm sewers. When not washing contaminated water down storm drains in residential areas, wash cars leave behind degreasers, detergents, and other chemicals in commercial washes. Petroleum is an ingredient of detergents used to clean vehicles, specifically in the surfactant composition. Petroleum is a basis of mostly commonly used surfactant, LAS, or lineal alkali benzyl sulfonates. LAS, commonly synonymous with anionic surfactants, is a very slow to biodegrade and have carcinogenic and reproductively toxic byproducts. So it can cause toxins, has toxic byproducts, and can cause cancer. This is why California Prop 65, they require all labeling of anything that has certain chemicals in it to even be shipped into their state. Surfactants move pollutants into storm sewers with every wash. Phosphates, or their chemical replacement NTA, is a standard component of most car wash detergents. Therefore, detergents used to make a vehicle's exterior more appealing may have the opposite effect on natural surroundings. Suds could persist in lakes and streams, while the nutrients could provoke an algae bloom. Detergents, in general, are attributed to COD and organic matter in car washes. Biodegradable soaps are no exception. They have the same impacts. They also create a bacterial population increase transmitting through the food chain to protozoa, which are more sensitive to car wash toxins and other aquatic organisms, such as fish. A study of detergents common to Seattle residents showed no detergent is safe, parentheses for trout, in this case, to be discharged to a storm drain at any working concentration. All detergents will destroy fish mucous membranes and gills to some degree. The gills may lose natural oils, interrupting oxygen transfer. Damaged mucous membranes leave fish susceptible to bacteria and parasites. Detergents are toxic to fish near 15 parts per million, killing fish eggs at 5 parts per million. A concentration of 2 parts per million will lower the surface tension of the water enough for a fish to absorb double the amount of organic chemicals such as pesticides and phenols. These common detergent surfactants have been shown to be present in the environment and have various estrogenic responses in aquatic organisms. They are considered toxic and are known to be capable of disturbing fish health. Numerous metals and other chemicals exceed EPA standards in hand wash stations, highway runoff studies, and commercial car washes, and common detergents are known to harm and alter aquatic organisms. Though no enforcement has been promulgated by the EPA, many cities, environmental organizations, and government units have taken action in the USA and Canada. Enough evidence exists for the West Coast, Texas, Canada, and the EPA to see the metals, detritus, and detergents from car washing as threats to water in North America. The cited studies and research within this article alone stress the negative effects car washing has on the environment, especially when there are ponds and rivers located within feet of a proposed car wash location. Overall, we feel this car wash will depreciate our home's value. Many people will not choose to live in a community that is afflicted by all the points made today, which in turn will make it more difficult for the community's homeowners to sell or rent their homes in the future, driving our property values down. You, as our elected town leaders, have done so much to better our community of Wheeling. We feel that this car wash would be a step in the opposite direction of where the town has been heading. If Mr. Torishniak feels so strongly about building a car wash, then he should do so near his residence in Lake Zurich, not in ours in Wheeling, where there is no need or no desire for another car wash. Thank you again for your time. I appreciate you listening to our concerns and urge you to please vote no for the application of special use permit and stop the building of this car wash next to our Wheeling community, residential communities.
Just for clarification as we move forward here, we're the Plan Commission. We are appointed by elected officials. And also we are a recommending board, but everything, special uses, must come through us first. So there will be, as a recommending board, this also goes to the village board, where again, there is opportunity to speak. So moving forward, that was all just for clarification. Nancy? Hi there. Please raise your hand. You swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Yes. Oh.
And could you please give your name and address, please?
Nancy Maroney. I live at 671 River Mill Parkway,
Thank you.
Wheeling. I actually thought I was going to be up here with Wendy, but so I wasn't really, I don't have the information. I'm going to wind up repeating a lot of what Wendy said. And I am really thrilled that we have support from our community, so thank you all for coming. Everyone is concerned. I just wanted to address also, like Wendy did, the car wash down the street a little ways. It's very affordable. It takes about 5 minutes to go through it, so I don't know where he gets his information, but whatever. But our community it's a quiet community. I've lived there 6.5 years. My home would be that first section past the pond. So I will be directly affected. And if this is built, I will most likely sell. I am concerned, like I said, even despite the fact that we live across from an airport, our community is insanely quiet. This would be horrendous as far as I'm concerned, and the people that live north. It's going to affect them. This car wash, they're planning on keeping open until 9 p.m. The lights, the traffic at that corner anyway, and depends on what day it is always bad. This is going to make it, I can't even tell you how much worse. The pond, when they're talking about the shrubbery, there's not, like Wendy said, there is not a lot of shrubbery between the end of that to the west and where the pond is. We have swans there, we have ducks there. It's where families go with their kids. If I were looking to buy a townhouse and there's this big, ginormous car wash, I would not want to live there. So I am very concerned about my home value. And my grandkids that I have that we walk around here. So again, I don't really have much else to say. I don't have all the information Wendy had, but I'm hoping that this car wash will not be built here. And I do agree with her that Mr. Torishniak should build a car wash by his home, not by ours. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Boho? Swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth.
Yes, I do.
And you your name and business address, please.
My name is Bob Boho. My business address is 11 East Dundee Road. That would be the BP station on the southeast corner of Dundee and Wolf Road. And on that site, there is a car wash. I own that car wash. I appeared several times in front of, well, I don't recognize anybody when I built the car wash. Some of you are all pretty young.
Thank you for that compliment.
Yeah.
Because I feel pretty old, so
Well,
that's okay.
Give you perspective, while I'm not a resident of Wheeling, I feel I should be because I've been there for over 44 years. I've seen a lot of things happen in the village and a lot of good things. This room we're in tonight is one of them. I know that piece of property that the car wash is going to be built on. It is unsightly. Seems like a very nice facility. In reference to, will they compete with my car wash? Well, of course they will. Do they have enough weapons in their toolbox to compete against me? Probably not. But that's time will tell. I would like to see the property redone. I have some concerns of my own, things that were brought up by this village board and the other board and the community development department when I built my wash in 89 or 90, something like that. I heard somebody say that there's only going to be 5 employees here. I guess I would be a little concerned about that for a lot of traffic to be driving around the site to only have 5 people, and it's the safety that I would be concerned about. The other thing is traffic. Is there a traffic study on this? I guess not.
No.
No.
Well, would you be willing to submit a traffic study? I know when I built my car wash, not only did they request a traffic study, the Village of Wheeling had a traffic study to study my traffic study, just to be sure that everything was okay. So we saw traffic, or they saw traffic as being a big problem. In the 40-plus years that I've been there, it has not been a problem. And we move gasoline trucks on and off the site all the time. They're there 24 hours a day. It's set up for them to do that, and we have not had any traffic problems. To the best of my knowledge, I don't think we've ever had a traffic, well, there have been a couple of traffic accidents, I take that back. They were in the intersection, and they weren't a result of my facility. Also, I don't quite understand the price. I guess that, I don't know, is your car wash going to be cheaper than the $3 one on Milwaukee Avenue? I know, I think they brought that car wash up, but there was something about a full-service car wash being $20 or something? 20 minutes. 30 minutes?
We will get to those. We will ask those questions, Mr. Boho.
Okay. Unless somebody has a question for me, because I am owner of a car wash, I'd be happy to answer.
Not at this time, sir.
Thank you for giving me the time to talk to you tonight.
Sure, thank you.
Have a good evening.
Mr. Newman? Swear the testimony given tonight to be the truth,
Yes.
and your name and address, please.
Jay Newman, 660 Mill Circle. I live in the River Mill Crossing complex. I called the village this morning and spoke to someone about the environmental impact studies that are required to be done for a situation like this. The Illinois EPA addresses both drinking water and groundwater. There is an Illinois Groundwater Protection Act that has a whole bunch of requirements and studies that need to be done. This is just the first page of the groundwater. I didn't do the drinking water because the drinking water requires an intimate knowledge of the locations of wells, if any. And if the village does have wells and the car washes within 1,000 feet of them, there are impact studies that have to be done. I wasn't aware if there were any wells in the area, but the village should be aware that that is a requirement if there are any. But the groundwater is another issue altogether. And you'll notice if you look at the bottom of this from the Illinois EPA, there's 6 or 7 or 8 hyperlinks that take you to other areas of the groundwater protection program. And I was disappointed when I spoke to whoever it was this morning at the village that this completely went by and no one seemed to have any clue that this existed, was required, or anything else. So I'd like to suggest that until the business can show that they've complied with all the requirements for drinking water preservation as well as groundwater protection, that they shouldn't be able to build it. I mean, that's a requirement, and we should look into it and take the appropriate action.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on that would provide any other additional information than what was presented tonight from the citizens? Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you. So why don't we go to the Plan Commission for questions, and then, gentlemen, I would probably like to have you, and I think someone will bring up most of the questions that were intimated by the citizens here tonight, but we can start with, why don't we start with Commissioner Powers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I ask, where do you have other locations that have this kind of a setup? Do you have multiple locations? I understand this is a new one. Do you have other locations like this?
Yeah, this is the first proposal of this kind by this consultant and developer in the village of Wheeling. We've proposed others in the village of West Chicago, Carroll Stream, Bartlett, Gurney, and Orland Park. And I think Cary, and Cary.
And were any of those approved? I'm just curious.
Gurney has been erected, correct, and operating? Gurney? No. All the ones that we've submitted plans for have been approved.
Okay, thank you. You explained to me a little bit more about the retail sale area and what's going to be happening in there? And what part of the actual, I assume it's in the 150-foot building, what part of the building is that going to be in?
Hello, Nick Spallone with Car Wash Pro Designers, offices in, I've sworn, you want to swear again?
Oh, that's right, we did.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Office 500 North Michigan Avenue in Chicago. So to answer the question as far as the retail, would be in the front corner of this side of the building.
Okay.
All the windows for the wash facility itself face the public storage. None of the vehicles are seen from the residential side.
Okay.
Everything is closed from the residential side on. We purposely positioned the building that way as to not show that to the residents.
So in the other facilities that you have, do you also have like a retail component to them?
Yes.
Okay, and any idea like what percentage of your sales is the retail component?
1.5.
Okay.
But the total gross sales for most locations are upwards of a 3 million gross.
Okay. I did see, I just want to confirm, I did see the bike rack on the landscape plan. It looked like it was in the
It's the
northeast corner? Yeah.
Yes, it's right in front of the entrance to the retail
Okay, and
vending area.
do we have do we have detail on the bike rack, Brooke?
No.
Okay. But I guess
That
they
can
can
be
work with you?
provided
Okay.
at permit.
So there was a comment about, will there be any mechanical units on the roof of the 150-foot building, like for air conditioning or anything like that? And was that depicted anywhere?
There will be mechanical units, and we propose to have screening, grilled screening for that.
Actually, the parapet of the building itself is tall enough to screen the units themselves.
If you could grab
Yeah,
the
just grab that.
microphone. If you're going to speak, please use the microphone. Thank you.
Yes, the parapet wall of the building itself is 3'8", which based on the equipment that's specified for the roof, it will cover that. It will screen it.
Okay, so the parapet runs the entire length of the building?
Correct.
Okay.
All the way around.
And I guess in this packet here, we did get new elevation drawings, and staff has reviewed that, and they're late. Oh, I just was wondering if, because there was questions about the incorrect labeling of like north, south, east, and west on the actual elevation drawings.
Right.
We have corrected that.
Okay. But has staff looked at that?
I received a set of plans
Okay.
that I reviewed as regarding the labeling, and it's now correct.
Okay.
And the packets we handed you today show that correction.
Okay. Trash enclosure, where do we have a trash enclosure on this site?
So it's right here. It's made with the same materials as the building itself. The base is stone, the top is brick, and then there's a limestone cap at the top.
Do we have the detail for such an enclosure in a packet?
Yes.
A3, A-32 has it.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't think I was looking for it also, I don't think it's depicted on plan.
Oh, the actual location on the site plan?
Right.
It
And
is.
it shows a nice
Yeah,
picture.
it's on the site plan.
Right.
It must
Oh,
be
there it
here.
is.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay, got it. Yep.
So moving to the landscape plan real quick. What type of irrigation do you propose on providing to the extensive model landscape you're doing?
We're going to propose irrigation for all new landscape areas we provide. And that will probably include all, there is a lot of current foliage. There are 30-plus foot trees that cover the entire back of the lot and wrap around covering even the furthest unit of River Mill Crossing. We're adding trees on top of that.
So you're making a statement that the entire site for the most part, especially where the plantings are, that'll all be irrigated?
All of our stuff will be irrigated.
Okay.
Anything we plan to put new,
So,
all of this will be irrigated.
okay, so, right. Ask, you can ask. Go ahead.
I'm curious as to whether there are existing trees or other vegetation on the property that will remain that are not represented in the landscape plan.
Yes, all of them. So if you look at the actual landscape plan, you'll see a light squiggly line that follows the lot line itself. All that squiggly area represents all the current foliage that will remain. We're adding new trees, more decorative look.
Is that off of your property?
It's on our property. The ones that we're adding are on our property. The current foliage is just off of our property.
Correct. So, yes, you're not touching
Okay.
the foliage that
We're
is
not
off of your
touching
property.
all that 30-foot by dense current
Right.
foliage will remain. It's all off property.
The existing landscaping will be removed
Right.
based on the
So
site.
all existing vegetation on the site will be removed?
Yes.
Okay. Clarify.
On the parameters, so all existing vegetation, the parameters of this site plan will be removed, but everything outside of that will be
Right,
left?
they have no
Everything outside will-
jurisdiction over
yeah,
anything
yeah.
outside their property.
Right, okay. I was a little bit confused, is the Caldwell Banker building part of this also, or no? the building to the south, is that part of it, or no?
No. We're butt up next to the public storage. So it's public storage,
Well, there
us, and then River Mill Drive.
Well, it was River Mill Drive, then it was the Gators, and then...
Oh, yeah, we're taking all of that.
You're taking all that out?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Because I wasn't really sure. What's behind, so the rear fence on the west side of the property, that's coming out, correct? I think there was a fence back there because I looked over the fence and there seemed to be some, what?
Yeah, it looks like somebody's gardening or something back
Right,
there.
so-
there is kind of a really flimsy-looking fence. We're removing that. Between
it's on our
us and detention, yeah, it is on ours.
Okay.
So between us and the current trees that are there is a kind of a flimsy wooden fence that would come down.
So that looks like some kind of garden. I didn't know who that was, who was maintaining that. So is I see the lighting plan you provided. So the question I have is, is the plan to only have the lights on during the hours of operation and, let's say, shut the 25-foot lights off at night after
Yes.
you're done?
Yes. And we made sure when we told our lighting company, when they created the photometric plan, to make sure there were 0-foot candles outside of our lot line. So there will be 0 glare, 0 light, 0 anything outside of our lot line.
So the fence on the north side of the site is going to stay, but is there a proposed fence, or is it just vegetation on the south side?
So if there might be some areas we'll physically remove the fence. If it doesn't sound like River Mill Crossing is very eager for the project, but we would be fine if they wanted to remove the current fence and put up.
No, I'm talking about the south side of the property.
Oh, that's a chain link. Yeah, chain link.
So it'll be chain link?
It is chain link now.
And is that from public storage?
That's the public storage side of the property.
Okay.
It's chain link.
And you're putting vegetation in there?
All along that side.
Okay. I'm not sure if we asked for a traffic study for the car wash at Milwaukee and Lake Cook, but I would kind of like to see a traffic study. Did you entertain doing a traffic study for this site?
We had asked if one was required, and we were told that wasn't what required. But, you know, if you felt like it was something we would need to provide, I think the client would say yes to do that.
Honestly, I think I'd like to see one, but I think the chairman can probably poll the commission.
I will say that KLOA is currently in the process of working with IDOT.
And that was my next question, because I'm worried about the North Drive. I know you're probably pinned to that exit, and it looks like the only way they could go north is out of the North Drive there.
So KLOA, in talks with IDOT, in their connection with IDOT, they're right now talking about eliminating the 2 drives, making a single entrance, so that when people are pulling out of River Mill Crossing, there's not a close tie between the 2. We haven't proposed anything yet because IDOT hasn't given a firm answer on that yet. But right now, what you see here are the current openings of the current site. These are the current openings. So right now, KLOA and IDOT has suggested, are there thoughts where we would consider one entrance, eliminating the 2 outside ones, so when people pull out of River Mill Crossing, there's no cross. And we would be open to that.
Before we go any further, Commissioner Creech, would you be in agreement that we need to see a traffic study?
Well, considering what he just brought up,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody else?
We would do that.
Right, okay, great. Because, and also,
But we would need to know which configuration.
right, and that's the other thing.
Yes.
We can't move forward.
Which will be determined by IDOT and our consultant.
Well, yeah, and that's got to come before us, too.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't approve plans that are maybe. We can't vote on plans that are maybe, so.
Can it be conditioned, can the approval be conditioned on
No.
the traffic study.
No, we will not, I will not allow a condition for a traffic study without seeing it and without knowing what the configuration is going to be. And I'm speaking for the board. I would not add that as a condition. We need to see that before anything is voted on.
So really, the last thing I'm going to ask, and then I'll turn it over to my fellow commissioners. Citizens have brought up the environmental issues, and that's an interesting point. I mean, I've thought about it. How do you respond to the environmental issues that were brought up, contamination, whatever? What methods do you have in place, or maybe you have at other facilities that are going to be implemented here that will address environmental issues? And along with that, I'm wondering about a noise study. I understand that you're putting the facility on the south side of the property. I'm just wondering, with the residents being to the north, has any kind of a noise study been done to kind of possibly alleviate a fear that noise, that they may be affected by it?
Yeah, we would be happy to conduct a noise pollution study. We have done them for other projects. We heard testimony here regarding what sounds like very aged data. One of the reasons why we positioned the building to be the furthest away from the residential area, because the loudest part is the exit of the wash. But we have designed the wash in a way where the towers themselves rotate the air, like as if you were to open the car door of your window in your car when you're on the highway, one window, and you hear that vibration. It kind of contains the sound and moves it around. There's 10 decibels 10 feet from the building as a result. All of our fan guards are plastic, which was recommended. And if you look at the image that was shown, you'll see that they are all plastic shrouds. So we have 10 decibels 10 feet from the building. Our products are all biodegradable. Our product guy, actually, when we bring our clients in, he'll go up to one of his 55-gallon containers, pump it into a cup, and actually sip it and show you that all of his products are eco-friendly and our lighting is eco-friendly. So we've answered sound, light pollution, and noise pollution, and chemicals are zero.
Okay, I would like to see that in writing, because
we can provide MSDS sheets.
Yeah, so I would just like to see that, as at least we talked about it, and the residents did bring up the concern, so that's why I'm asking.
Two more points I want to make with that.
Sure.
One was, there was a lot of mention that when the vehicles are washed, that water somehow goes into the storm system, and it doesn't. The water gets filtered through two areas. One is the actual trough that the tracks are in, takes the sediment and hard levels of whether it be mud or grease or things from the car, and they drop into that. Then the water goes into a triple receptor system, where it's then filtered between oils and sediment, and then gets sent out to the sanitary. So none of that stuff hits a storm sewer. Now, we do have a storm sewer plan where we take the water from the parking lot from rain, and then it gets put into a filter system that then goes into the basins and then goes out to the sanitary sewer. But that parking lot would be part of any development, whether it be a restaurant, whether it be a real estate office. So that traffic would remain the same.
Okay.
And then one last point. The water that's used in our facilities, a house uses 150 gallons. Normal automatic washes uses 75 gallons. We use 15 gallons of car.
Okay, so
low impact on water.
Right. So I think that's all good information, and maybe you could summarize some of that.
Absolutely.
Because and really, I do like the design of the building and everything. I think a lot of work was put in there, and it seems like a lot of extensive landscaping. I'm still a little bit leery about what may be going on the west side, if as far as height of the actual landscaping, if that's actually a good enough buffer, because there was a fence there, and now the fence will probably come out and be replaced with landscaping. I'm not sure the height of the actual plantings in the back is like 4 to 6 feet.
If you look, this is the current, and I think the trees measure out almost 36 feet.
Mhm.
And those all stay.
Right.
So we're putting landscape up against that.
I'm sorry, can you show?
So all these trees and all the ones that wrap around are on the outskirts of the property.
Actually, I'd like to clarify that. On the north side of the property, there are no trees located north of the existing fence.
Yeah, I don't think there is either.
So that's a false statement, and it's incorrectly noted on the landscape plan. All that heavy screening is within your site.
Yeah.
So, but you just told us that you're removing all vegetation from the site.
On our side.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. But the existing.
So there will be no vegetation north of the fence
There, and there's vegetation on our side
that you're removing.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, whatever's off our property is not.
And we have no problem leaving what's there if it appeases the
I just wanted to be clear.
No, that's, and I think it needs to be really clear as to what's staying and what's leaving, so we're on, yeah.
I'd just like to reiterate that the label on the landscape plan that you just received, where it says existing highly dense wooded with arrows
yes,
just north of the property line.
right.
That is an incorrect label. There is no vegetation in that area. It's all grass, and that is located on the River Mills property.
But it's not highly dense.
No, just
There's
to the
nothing
west.
there.
Just to the west.
There's nothing there in that location.
The wooden fence is there.
So in screening, screening is probably not deciduous trees because they're not evergreen. So it's hard, well, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
that's okay. I mean, you can go ahead and ask.
No.
I mean, another thing too is if you're, have you ever, would there be any possibility of putting a berm back, some type of berm back there and putting vegetation on top of that?
Of
To
course,
screen a
if
little
the
bit
council
more?
recommends it, we will be happy to.
I'm just throwing out ideas.
By all means.
4 to 6 feet is, you know, okay, but maybe put on something on a berm or higher, it's a little bit higher stuff or better screening. That's just an option.
That would be fine, it would just be make sure that it complies with
Not second
engineering.
Yeah.
That it doesn't detract from what we're trying to do with the stormwater.
I think I'm done for now.
Well, we can
Well,
talk about that more.
Right.
Commissioner Johnson?
Thank you. Okay, a lot of this stuff was covered already. That one was too. Just walk me through what a customer is going to experience from the time they enter the site to the time their car is all shiny and clean and leaving.
So the vehicles would enter the site if this was the stayed entrance and entrance. or
Does he-
exit of the
is
site.
the
Is there a
mouse?
mouse, is there a mouse on that?
Oh, there is. So if you look at the north entrance, people entering the site would either venture south toward the vacuum area, use the vacuum stalls. Most common path is to travel through the wash, where they'll hit kiosks, like gas station style machines.
Those are automatic or
They're automatic.
manned?
They're automatic, but we will man them. The reason for that is we just want to make sure people, if they drop their card or they don't understand what wash they're getting, there will be somebody there to kind of walk them through the process and help them select. It speeds up.
Since you're going that, and Commissioner Johnson, thank you for going down this path. One of the questions from, I can't remember who it was, they're asking about the employees, and you said 5. So as you're going through this, point out where the 5 employees would be as you're going through the process.
So there would be 1, 2, 3 employees that would serve as this, depending upon the peak time. In this area, one will either float the 3 lanes, or 2 would float the 3 lanes, or 3 would float the 3 lanes. Again, greeting the client, kind of letting them know what washes are available, telling them what the differences are between the washes, what they would get, and then helping them, literally facilitate putting the card in, selecting the wash, handing them the receipt, handing them a card back. Once the transaction is made, whoever of the three have transacted first, a gate will open, allowing them to pass through this lane here, which this whole area is proposed radiant heat. They'll pass through this to enter the wash, where there'll be another person at the entrance of the wash that will guide them this way. We don't need this because we're not a track wash, we're a belt, so they'll just ask them to move forward.
So the belt is as wide as vehicles?
3 foot wide belt.
Oh, okay.
So they'll ask the client to pull up to the belt, stop them where they need to stop, point. Now, what's nice about our washes, conveyorized washes, you have to leave it in neutral. You can have your foot on the brake on this. You can put it in park. You can put it in neutral. So we guide the client to put the car into neutral, hoping that they do. If they don't, it doesn't change the pattern of the wash. They get pushed through the wash tunnel, which, again, as I mentioned, all of the windows in the tunnel itself are on the far side of the building, not on the residential side of the building. They'll get pushed through the wash, and at the end, they have a choice. And again, there might be a change to the exit. If it's a single exit, they would then maneuver this way and exit out of the wash. If it's not and this remains, they'll either exit this way, make a right out, or they'll exit this way, making a left or right.
Or cycle back to the vacuum?
Or cycle back to the vacuum. This area here is proposed for people that need to put their top up, take anything that may be a loose.
Right. Okay. And the retail is at the far?
It's right in this corner
east
right
end.
here.
Okay. So if they want to come in and buy something, they'd
Any
park somewhere.
aftermarket vehicle part, these retail, vending machines, you can put items that are this large and they take a big claw, and it could be anything
Oh, so
aftermarket.
it's mostly vending machines?
It's big vending machines.
Oh, okay. So there's no, well, there might be an employee monitoring
There
that?
is an employee monitoring. And then there's one employee that walks the lot at all times, making sure people have removed trash from their car and it hit the road, it's picked up, make sure the trash cans are cleaned, make sure the vacuum can is cleaned.
When they first enter the wash, is there any kind of pre-wash, like Mr. Boho's?
No, there isn't. Again, there's zero labor involved in the physical washing of the vehicle.
Okay.
Sir, we are conducting a meeting here. You had your opportunity to speak, and I'm sorry, but we're trying to discuss this with the petitioner. Thank you.
Now, you say your blowers are extremely quiet, and how far, we don't have a dimension here, but how far from the exit is it to your property line and/or the nearest resident?
So the nearest resident is way up over here.
Yeah, do you know how many feet?
I want to
roughly?
say it's 220 feet.
Okay.
The noise pollution consultant we hired last brought in a computer hard drive, plugged it in, and he said, this is the volume of air you're going to hear based on the decibels from 10 feet away. The laptop's fan.
Yeah.
From 10 feet. So when you go beyond that, it is virtually zero. And it has everything to do with the construction of the towers.
So point out where you estimated the first home to be.
I want to say it's right over here.
Probably a little bit closer to Milwaukee Avenue. Yeah, so, right, yeah, okay, yeah. So you acknowledge where it's at, where you're pointing on, maybe this isn't to scale, right, okay. All right, okay, thank you.
All right, let's see, you talked about how the water gets processed.
And we definitely do not mix washed, anything that touches the vehicle, whether it be biodegradable chemical or water, with the storm system or the basins or the ponds that we put in the back. There is no cross-mixing of that liquid.
I'm concerned about how I wash my car now. The vac stations, is that a central vac
It is.
system? It's not individual?
It is
coin-
central vac.
Is it coin operated?
Nope, it's all free. Do it yourself.
So it's just one big vacuum or,
One big, like a central vac with a bunch of drops.
and that's mounted up on the roof?
This will actually
or-
be inside the garbage carousel.
Oh, okay.
And there's a muffler system built with it, and again, 0 decibels outside of the actual enclosure has 0 decibels once you go beyond.
0?
You hear,
Wow.
there's more ambient noise from the traffic,
Oh, yeah, and jet noise and,
yeah.
And the enclosure itself is, it's a masonry enclosure, it's brick and block.
okay.
Just like the
That's all I had for now, thanks.
Commissioner Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I must say most of my questions have already been asked and answered. Yes, I would like to see a traffic study for sure. As far as this information that you were just speaking of, the environmental information, the sound information, along with the traffic study would be helpful for your presentation.
Would you like
Going further?
a noise pollution study?
That would be very helpful for the residents as well as the board.
Okay,
Yeah,
we-
right now, what I've got written down is a traffic study, a noise study, and then the.
MSDS sheets.
Right,
on the
yes,
chemicals.
and water disposal, definitely, yes.
And I'm sure Kyle could speak to the fact that they have a number of hoops to jump through as far as getting permits from the IP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
IEPA, NPDES, the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, IEPA Water, IEPA Sanitary, MWRD. There's at least 4 permits here that kind of control stormwater discharge, sanitary discharge, all the works. So, yeah, all these are requirements for the engineering division for this project to be built.
Thank you.
That's a good one, thank you. You got validation there, Kyle, thank you. Thank you.
The fence on the west side of the property, that's kind of rickety, you said?
Yeah.
And you did say that you were planning, if you could, replace the one on the north side. I would like to see some kind of a fence on the west side just for that retention pond over there so that we don't get any debris that would possibly blow into that
Okay.
area.
Okay.
And that would certainly would help limit that. I don't
Okay.
think it'll eliminate it, but it will limit.
And I think it will add an additional layer of deadening of any sound that there may be.
That as well.
Yeah.
You did speak about your water, but do you recycle the water
don't.
and reuse it? Okay.
Because
No,
the volume that we use is so low, we don't. And another reason why we don't do it is because the recycled water can only be used in the very end, and the volume of water that we use is more on the beginning. And we tend to go, because of the volumes are so low that we use, we push against it because of the sulfur smell. So we try to avoid that very eggy smell in a building. And that recycled water will shoot off a sulfur smell.
you spoke a little bit about your retail sales, which is like 1%,
1.5.
but you did mention you did 3 million gross.
Yep.
Are the car washes taxed?
They aren't taxed.
I'm sorry.
They are not
Services.
taxed.
They are not?
They are not taxed.
It's a service, right?
Right.
Services aren't taxed,
Good.
right now.
Are didn't know.
Now, I don't want to speak out of hand, but there have been sidebar discussions with the client that he would be open to putting a surcharge to the washes, where that surcharge would go to the city.
Well, luckily, that's not us to determine.
Well, that's not us.
Yeah, that's not us. As a plan commission, that's not us,
So
so.
he sounded open to that.
I think that covers all my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, gentlemen.
So, a couple of questions, and the traffic, I'm sorry.
It's all right, there is not
You know
that, same
something?
thing.
I'm
SDS
sorry.
sheets and
Yeah, I'll make sure we get those. And maybe a synopsis too. So not only are you trying to look, because I've looked at these MSDS sheets and they're just absolutely, you need a chemical background.
Right.
But what we'll do is we'll make sure that the product supplier writes a narrative and says, you know, I mean, when I tell you it's impressive to see him, and he'll say, pick a drum. And he'll say, this is your soap water. And he'll take water, add it to the soap, and he'll drink it.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, this is what we're putting through. We're an eco-friendly facility.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
So my I have the same concerns with the traffic study, noise study, and the environmentals, though Kyle, from the perspective of the EPA, Illinois EPA, or whomever, those are required, and a review of those and analysis of those are required when? I mean, they have to be done before you break ground, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all done during the final permitting phase. We don't issue the Village of Wheeling engineering permit until we receive all of those. So once IEPA, all three permits that I listed earlier from IEPA are obtained, MWRD permit and any others, IDOT will need a permit from them as well. Once those are all obtained, then we issue our permit, then they can break ground.
Okay, and as part of the environmentals, do they do any, what's the term I'm looking for?
Impact?
No, not impact, any type of ground studies, what's in the ground, things like that? I'm not certain what this was beforehand.
There might be something involved with that in the NPDES. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, they call it the phase one environmental studies.
Perhaps their design engineer would be, better suited to answer that question.
That's
I
usually
know that
based
the
on
bank
what's
will
there.
require a phase 1 and phase 2 report prior to lending. So we could provide that as well, what the current ground status is.
Yeah, because a lot of times that's based on history of the property,
Yeah.
whatever might have been there before.
Right. So those things are of a concern of mine. You talk about this equipment that is quiet, and you said you've got them in West Chicago, Carroll Stream, Bartlett, Gurney, well, proposed. Are any of them built that we can go and see them?
So
That we can maybe get a car wash for whatever price you said it was, to determine, to actually understand what the noise is? in
Yes.
those?
Okay, so Dick Portillo is out of the hot dog business now, and he's now our direct competitor. He builds a brand called Wash and the letter U. So he has a facility that uses the same equipment that we do, that has all this environmental study on the signs. He actually shows the amount of impact we have, biodegradable chemicals, 15 gallons per wash. The closest facility to here would be in Villa Park on North Avenue and Addison.
Okay, so if you can get an address.
Yep,
to
we would be
look.
happy. And what I would urge is that to get out, now one of the things you'll notice on that facility is his central vacuum system is actually uncontained. It's out in the open. It looks like a railroad car, right? Standing outside of that, you will hear the decibel level with zero enclosure. Okay, so it's important to see, and ours is enclosed. So imagine if you're standing outside of that one, it has nothing blocking it, what ours will sound like blocked. We also urge you to walk outside of the car, park it in the vacuum area, and walk outside of the car and stand kind of at the entrance of the wash, and then walk just a little bit to the side of it, because all of the noise concern is to the north of this building. So if you walk out of the wash and walk away from the door, you'll notice once you get 5 feet away, there's zero noise. He uses the exact same equipment we use.
Okay, thank you. So none of the, you mentioned these other areas, none of them have been built yet?
No, some of them are permitted, some are under funding, but the first one to break ground will be in Gurney in North Chicago. West Chicago.
Okay. So then the other concern that I have is around the landscaping and the buffering for the residents. And to be honest with you, I'm not so hung up on the west side because you've got a warehouse there, and I'm not certain how far that one building is on the other side of the detention pond. That's fairly far. My concern is one, from an appearance standpoint, as somebody drives in to River Mill Parkway, what they're going to see as they're driving through on the south side. So we want something there that is covering this area and then also acting as a buffer for these properties that are close to Milwaukee Avenue. As one of the residents said, I think it was the second speaker said she's right there. And to be honest with you, I look at this plan here and I look at it and I see the first resident right about here, right about there, right about here. Okay, and yeah, so, but in relative to this, and I assume this is to scale, if you're looking at this, you've got no buffering here to the corner. That's what I see here.
Here's on this aerial view.
Yeah.
See what the proposed fence is.
Right, so the fencing is the current, but that's not buffering,
Well, honestly, it doesn't count towards their buffering.
Right.
Their screening, because it's off of their property.
right, so.
That could be
so the
removed in the
screening-
future.
Right, the screening needs to be more on, well, replacing that, but then also trees, bigger trees, possibly considering increasing the size of the calipers that you have here. I think we're looking at things that are 6 feet in height, 4 feet in height, increasing the size of the caliper on the west side there. And maybe we can do something on the north and west side, and then, maybe we can reduce something on the south side where the storage is, to help offset, those costs and things like that. Sure.
I have a question about the screening. Are you looking for a fence, shrubbery, trees, all of the
Yes.
above, something to buffer between that
Exactly.
river?
Yep, exactly. I want that, one, I want it to look nice, and I want it to have, the appearance that folks will not know what will be on that side.
So
That's
what I'm thinking we'll do is maybe we remove the one northern prep lane and just put a row of very high trees all along that side.
And more, the issue there is, back to your point about removing that prep lane, that way we'd be able to provide larger conifers, so,
Yes.
big evergreens, that will really fill up that side.
Right.
And again, we don't want to impact the community in a negative way. We're not here to, this is our future customer base. So, we're willing to work with the community as much as it takes to appease them where they feel like they're not in a loss, that they're in a gain.
And that may help buffer some of the sound and some of the lighting too.
Exactly, and that's what we're looking for. Well, the lighting is
Yeah, that should
practically
be
at
fine.
zero
Right.
at the lot lines.
Yeah.
It's practically at zero. And
They're concentrated along the drive.
Right, and they're LEDs, and you've got more control over those. But my concern is the residential area.
Okay.
Now, my last two statements, one, looking what's up there, you've got these lines here. I assume those aren't parking spaces, right?
And this part right here,
No, going up on the north side. That's
this?
the
Prep area.
this is the prep. So we're going to remove,
those-
what we're proposing is removing this entirely and putting high trees all along this side.
Okay, good. And then you would leave this prep area here?
Yes, leave the south prep.
But I assume you're going to, these aren't striped, that's not the way it's going to be striped, right? Because it's the wrong way.
Correct.
Okay, so, but we'd like correct documents as they come before us, right?
Well,
Is
they're
it striped
not-
or is it not striped?
Trying to pull into those spots, right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're
It's
not
not-
parking spots.
Oh, yeah, these aren't parking spots. They're,
Right.
Mike Elliott, Terra Consulting, Park
Yeah.
Ridge. I've noticed that's come up in a few of the other plans I've
Yeah.
done. It looks like parking, but it's a 10-foot wide space.
Okay.
So it's really supposed to, it's like striping to have you not park there, is the point of
Okay,
it.
got it.
And it's
Okay.
reversed, but I
Right.
think they need to come a new symbol.
Yeah, they're not slots.
It'd be better.
Right,
not
they're not
parking
slip-
to pull in.
But they can
Parallel
pull
park.
over, okay, got it.
Yes.
Okay, parallel park, got
And,
it.
and again, we will remove the upper one.
Okay. So, there's a number of items that, we're going to continue this.
I got a couple more questions.
You have a couple more questions? Right, okay.
This one just came, Ron, are you okay with everything turning radius? I mean, we kind of haven't said too much to you. Everything seems to be in order as far as you're concerned?
Well, in the turning radius, in our comments in the packet, we had asked for additional turning radius analysis because they only had one direction of
We do
travel.
have, and
And they did provide one to Brooke the other day that she showed me today. And then I had requested her the next time she talked to the petitioner to give me 4 sheets, one for each turning radius, direction of travel, because the single sheet with 4 directions is rather congested and confusing.
that is a lot.
It's a little difficult to review, which isn't a significant item, but it's just, I couldn't make 100% determination on the
Okay.
travel paths.
Okay.
Couple of the other items that we had in the staff report, our staff report, which really can be addressed at final engineering, are some adjustments to fire hydrant locations, some other comments on clearances, but nothing significant at this time.
Okay, so you got his comments. Another thing, you're not going to be doing any type of detailing of autos in your facility, are you?
No.
Okay. The last question, I just thought about this. Where are you guys going to put your snow? When it snows out, where are you guys going to be storing it? Do you have any kind of a snow removal area that you're going to, can you designate one somewhere? Where are you going to put your snow?
So there's 2 places. We plan on stacking it in the areas where detention would be.
Okay.
Also, we've heated the pads in the back area to the point where when the snow removal companies come after hours, they're to stack a lot of the snow on those heated pads to let it melt off.
So could you just like make some kind of designation, even if it's on a landscape plan, like snow removal area or something like that? Is that, I don't think that's too much to ask.
No.
They want designated areas, so you would say that snow removal here, snow removal here. Yeah.
And also, since you're on that, you need to designate what's going to be landscaped.
Irrigated.
Irrigated.
Okay.
Yep, irrigated, sorry, on the landscape plan.
Yep.
And that, you got that, right?
Are there any other questions? So, when do you expect to hear back from IDOT?
Well, we have, and there are negotiations or talks between KLOA and IDOT on a resolution that will be a safe impact to that drive.
And when do you expect to have that? 'Cause I'm not certain that we can approve this without that information.
So I spoke to Louis, as the company president. He said they're finishing part of the study that they're putting together. It's more of a cursory study, looking at the data so that they can see, is this something they can talk to IDOT and see what their letter stated about what their concerns were. Again, the combining of one axis versus two. So it's really, I have to wait to get their report, and they said about a week.
Okay.
It was a week left. It's been in works for 3 weeks, 3 to 4.
So our next public meeting is
October 11th,
October 11th.
but we need to submit.
Yeah, so so that's our meeting. It needs to be to Brooke by October 1st?
No, October 27th.
September 20th.
Sorry, September 27th.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
September 27th.
So we would need 2 weeks to review the plans prior to the meeting. If that date doesn't work for you, then we could push it out further.
I think we're going to have to push it out further. If we're now doing a traffic study and
Right.
noise pollution.
Okay. How about the next date for the meeting would be October 25th? That means the materials would be due to staff by October 11th.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay?
And if we have any problem with that, we'll give you plenty of notice.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so just for clarification, the south and the east landscaping is okay as it stands. You want to see an amendment to the north and the west. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, that's where the residential areas are, yes. And I'm assuming you want to make your face to Milwaukee Avenue nice, so you're not going to take anything away from that. I hope not. Right, okay. So we have a motion to continue to October 25th. Is that right, Brooke?
Yes.
We have a motion to continue to October 25th.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Powers, second by Commissioner Johnson. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
And Chairman Raffetto.
Yes, and we are going to take a 5-minute break.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, you can have that.
Sir, I'll have a handout for you of the recommendations that were stated.
Do we need to?
Okay,
Make a list of everything.
okay, great.
Calling docket number 2018-24A and B. Auto Car Imports, 170 Shepard Avenue. Zoning variation to reduce required parking, special use site plan approval for a light motor vehicle repair facility. Mr. Secretary.
Docket number 2018-24, Steve Vago, President of Auto Car Imports LTD, tenant, is seeking the following for property at 170 Shepard Avenue, which is zoned I-3 General Industrial District. 2018-24A, variation from Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-11, General Development Standards, Section 19.11.010, off-street parking and loading, Section E, parking standards, subsection 1, minimum required parking per land use category, and associated sections to reduce the required parking for a motor vehicle light repair facility, and 2018-24B, special use site plan approval is required under Chapter 19-07 Industrial Districts, Chapter 19-10 Use Regulations, Chapter 19-12 Site Plan Approval Requirements, and associated sections to establish a motor vehicle light repair facility. Standards for variation. Zoning variation is intended to be a method of adjustment to equalize regulations where Title 19 of the Village of Wheeling zoning has created an unnecessary hardship. Variation is designed to allow affected property owners the same rights and privileges that others enjoy in the same zoning district. In order to be granted a variation, a petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at the public hearing why their request meets the conditions of the village code, including but not limited to how their individual situation is unique or unusual. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that their request for variation meets the standards established in Title 19. The Commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting material submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the Village Board. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Brooke, anything to add?
Yes, the staff reports and submittals of the petitioner are part of the public record.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Yes. Will you all be speaking on this matter? You'll both be speaking on this? Yes. So would you please raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
And, okay, as you speak, I want you to give your names and address right now.
Address of the property or?
Sure. Your business address, yes. That's
Steve Vago, 170 Shepard, Wheeling, Illinois.
all right. And
Patty Cantori, 170 Shepard, Wheeling, Illinois.
great, thank you. So the floor is yours to describe what you want to do here.
I want to run an automotive repair business, not only just import, but also American vehicles out of that facility. We've been actually in business since 1962. So we're just moving into Wheeling because we feel this area will be beneficial to us as far as being in more of an area that we think would work better for our shop.
So describe what you're going to have inside the building. Describe what part, from what I've read, you're not taking over this whole building. So you need to describe what you're going to be, what portion of it you're going to be taking over, all of those wonderful things.
So we're taking over.
What we'll be doing is suite D, E, and F at the back of the lot, so approximately half the building at just over 10,000 square feet. A is vacant, B and C are rented, I believe, for 28 years, if I'm not mistaken, 20-some years. So we will be the back half of the property at just over 10,000 square feet.
And what will be in there?
Inside will be 8 lifts, 3 offices, a break room. As is, there's 3 bathrooms. Whether we'll utilize all 3 of them, we only have a maximum of 8 employees. So there's 2 up front, 1 kind of towards the back. The 8 lifts, how I have it on the diagram here, are 4 against the wall, the north wall there, 2 to the middle, and then 2 towards the south wall. There's 3 offices. 2 will be utilized, one mine, one Steve's. One is kind of just an extra. It's quite a bit bigger than where we're at right now. Reason being why we are moving it, so we can utilize, a bigger space. That 4th office is a parts room and will be utilized for our Comcast, our, kind of like our all-in-one, our phone room, our, anything that's needed to get to run the business as far as electronics go. As far as Comcast, we utilize the phone, the internet, our modems, things like that. The shop is very cut and dry. That open space that we have, that I show on the southwest corner, where open space / warehouse, that literally is open space. It's a very big building for us. So at this time, we have no plans on doing anything but customers walking from the front door in the center of the building. My office is office number 3, so they'll either go to office 2 or office 3, where Steve and myself are. We have the waiting area, the break room. It's a very nice setup for us, for our customers to wait. We have a lot of customers who drop off. We give them a ride to work. We give them a ride home. We pick up vehicles from people's work. We also drop them off. And, there's a lot of open space in this building for us. So our main thing is 8 lifts, 8 employees, including Steve and myself.
Anything else to add? No. Okay. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on this matter? I don't think there was anybody there. No. Okay. We'll go to petition, commissioners. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. So right now your operation is where? Northbrook? Northbrook. And how big is it right now? How many lifts?
We do have 8 lifts. We're in approximately 8,000 square feet, though.
Okay.
So we're just over 2,000 square feet larger at the Wheeling facility.
How much parking do you have there?
With the way the inside situated for us is it's cut up, so it's too impacted.
At your current one, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the one on Shepard is wide open. And that's what benefit us as far as my guys, as far as our equipment.
Sure.
So it's pretty much,
Utilizing.
yeah.
And how much parking do you have right now?
To answer that question, we have share the property with the owner. There's kind of a space, it's aquatic ecosystem, so they have a lot of trucks and boats.
So they have 14 employees, 14 cars, 12 trucks.
So
we just
a
share a lot
mix.
together.
But approximately how many spaces do you guys use?
It's
Well-
hard to say during the day. We can use 20, we can use 15. It all depends on how the cars turn over.
Okay. I'm just trying to get a feel for it.
Yeah.
We're not like a Firestone or a Goodyear. We're specialty shop.
Meaning we work on import vehicles, old, new. We have a lot of people who don't want to pay Mercedes price at the dealer for an oil change, and, we use synthetic oil, so they trust us. I don't know if anybody has driven past our shop as we're at now, but
Where exactly is it?
It's 1801 Holst, which is, where
South of Willow off of Sherman.
where the Viaduct was out from the train?
Oh, yeah.
We're just south and between Patriot and Sherman.
Road in the cul-de-sac.
So it's a
Okay.
cul-de-sac, a dead end. We, as a company, work on our referrals. Steve has built a great company from his dad up, and, our Yelp reviews tell that. We are not on a main thoroughfare, so it's not, we're not working on, I have a flat tire, let me pull in to the shop. We work on word of mouth and referrals from our customers now.
Now, as long as this is up there, all of the rooms that are drawn on this, are they existing?
They are.
Yes.
So you're not changing any?
We're not doing
any layout,
anything
you're
to
just
the inside
working
except-
around with what you got,
Going to be a
okay.
lot of painting and cleaning,
Yeah.
Well,
which we've done a lot already.
and we did get a couple estimates to put in the triple basin.
The inspectors came and we had some estimates. We're actually going to use Caps Plumbing from Wheeling to put in trench drains. So it's even now, it's our oil drums and everything are all above ground. I don't have hydraulic lifts, all my lifts are electric above. They're not underground, I mean.
Okay. I saw, let's see, where is it? That you're taking on the landscaping for the entire building, even though you're not the owner?
It's a foreclosed building, so we're working on possibly purchasing it.
Ah, okay.
So I told the manager of the building, I'm really a stickler of how clean things are. If you go by my shop, you'll see how it's landscaped and clean.
And we don't, we
I'd rather do it myself than him.
Gotcha.
We want people to come and know, I've been with Steve just shy of 6 years, and my fear of a mechanic shop, I think many females on the board here can, you walk into a mechanic shop going, oh, geez, it's going to be dirty, there's no place to wait, we're very clean about everything. We have a clean waiting room, we have a water dispenser, we have a coffee machine. We have a TV, we have toys for the kids, little toys, nothing, you're not going to go on a ride on a pony. But, we cater to our customers.
Yeah, my father started the pickup and delivery in '62, and I never stopped. So we do.
That's nice service. Okay, that's all I have for now, sir.
Mr. Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you've been following your father around for quite a while, I'd say, since 56 years in the business?
I've
Is that
been
what you're
running it
saying?
for almost 26, and my brother's with me as well.
Okay, my question is why did you choose this building?
Actually, we've gone through quite a few buildings within Wheeling. I've talked to Brooke. There was another young lady that was with Wheeling before, and she actually went with me and looked at other buildings. It's either they were very large or very small, and it just they didn't work out. Or the zoning wasn't available for it. This building was brought to me by a friend of mine, and he said, let's go look at it. And we looked at it, and the layout was perfect because of the way my lifts have to be set up for my guys and the distance you need. I can't be crunched together. The guys have to be able to be.
Well, I understand the shop part of, because, you're going to have over 2,000 square feet more than what you had before, but.
We're also very generalized, whereas we go from, to answer your question, our customer base is a very wide range from Schaumburg to the Lake Shore, to where literally I have a notebook of garage numbers and things like that, to where we do pick up the cars. The people on the North Shore, the people in Schaumburg, we all work, we all have jobs. It's nice to have that kind of a service and be able to go and pick up a car in Schaumburg and know that it's going to be returned when you get home from work. We deal with the billing, the invoicing through our wonderful technology of emails and, credit cards and things like that. So that's kind of, Wheeling is very centralized for our customer base. I think that's.
I agree.
Part of.
Now, you work on mostly foreign cars, but you said you work on all sorts of vehicles, correct?
We specialize in German cars, but we do all different types.
So do you do all types of repairs as well? You do major engine
We don't do
repairs?
any body work, any frame work, it's just mechanical work.
So you'll do like a complete engine overhaul or transmission work and/or
We do
brakes
just
and...
light automotive,
We do in-home trans, but engine I send to machine shop. We can't do it like we used to.
Well, but you still pull motors and put them back in?
Yeah. Not as near as many as it used to be because people really don't do it. They just buy new cars.
Or lease them?
Yeah.
Well, it's been my experience with myself going to mechanic shops that they seem to have a lot of cars all over the place because they're always waiting for parts or the customer to come and pick them up, or, you know, especially with, you know, foreign cars or, you know, German cars, and if you have to get any parts that are shipped overseas or anything like that, you're going to be waiting for parts or whatever.
Very rare does that happen. You're absolutely correct. Mercedes, German parts, 10 days. If nobody here has a part.
Even like Volkswagen or BMW or, you know.
We don't really run into that. If we run into it, it's Mercedes, really.
This isn't the type, let's put it this way, I don't just work on anything that comes off the street. My guys are 25 years plus techs.
You're a specialty shop, I understand that.
So it's
Especially
not-
if you're working on Mercedes and BMWs and other German cars, so I understand that. But
I mean, I know the shops you're describing, I'm not that type.
The one thing.
Well, I'm talking about specialty shops where, you know, there's still on a lot of occasions where, you know, the car is worked on and it has to stay there for a week.
Absolutely. Mhm.
So
But we
the
will
problem
not-
that you have there is that it's great that you have a bigger shop, but you have like absolutely no parking whatsoever there. And you're sharing it with two other businesses. And even if you rented that whole building, there's not enough parking there.
Well, even if anybody rented that whole building with one office and the rest warehouse, there's not enough parking there.
Exactly.
According to what code is now, because these buildings were.
Well, for what you're doing.
70. No, for anything. If we had, if that whole building was warehouse, so you take the 20,000 square feet, and had one office space, you're basically in your 24.
I agree. It's very limited on what you can do there, but for what you're asking to do there, that's a pretty busy.
We have approximately 10 cars in and out throughout the day. So,
And 8 employees and you two, so that's 10 cars right there.
well, our
No,
employees.
we're included in the 8. Then you have the 2
Yeah.
porters. Not everybody drives. There's only 5 of us that drive.
Well, we can't figure that,
No, carpool, and there's one that does take,
And there's
but we can't figure that.
two of the porters live right
in
kitty corner.
Wheeling. So what we had figured from our day-to-day business, as far as 10 cars in, 10 cars out, depending, you know, like you say, there's going to be a car stuck. It's a fact. We're a service business. Sometimes cars are towed in, sometimes cars are towed out. So, you know, it's a fact. We are completely revolving business, a service business. And that's kind of the facts of the business. But Suite B and C is allotted 2 spots. And there is no tenant in Suite A, which I know we do have to account for. There could be someone coming into Suite A at any time. But like Steve said, we would like to move forward with the building's been in foreclosure for 3+ years, from what I understand.
And the tenant that's within the building right now wants to go on a month-to-month. So his mentality to me, and our conversations we've had multiple times, is he'd probably be moving out soon anyways, which I would be able to utilize that spot.
Well,
And as far as other parking, when we have multiple cars, I do have a connection with the dealership in Schaumburg, so I can use off-site parking too. So there are guys that are willing to help me out as far as the parking, if I need it. I'm not looking to have that issue.
well, this is a 40 parking spot variation you're asking for.
I believe, 40?
40.
It's 40.
Yeah, I believe that according to that first plan I had, I'm not sure if we can go back to that first diagram I had, or you had up, yes, that one. So a lot of this is how it's being maneuvered. We can put all the lifts on the north half of the building, and
But you're just gonna, you're trying to pick up one or two spots is,
No.
that's not gonna help us.
No.
And then you're gonna have to have some kind of outside storage, because I've never been to any kind of repair shop where they didn't have a vehicle outside.
That's very
So
true.
I have a problem with that. And then we also have, there's gonna be other equipment, there are other garbage that you're gonna be, tailpipes and mufflers and stuff like that, so you're gonna have some.
We don't store that stuff.
So you don't do brake jobs, you don't do.
The metal containers
Tailpipe?
within the building, it is, as is of right now. The waste container, Brooke said, might have to be built around. We don't have
An
that much. It's
enclosure.
with inside and it's picked up twice a week. And the metal is picked up by a metal guy as soon as the barrel's full.
Even our pallets, we will.
All I can go by is, my personal experiences in my life and going to car repair shops and specialty car repair shops for my German car. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I kind of agree with what Commissioner Creech said. A 40 space variation is quite a bit. And when I drove by the property too, it's like there does not seem to be any room at all in the back on the east side, and really all there is to use is the west side. And then I don't even know that this is necessary with you, but the building in the site itself needs some work. It needs some touch-up. So I don't even know if it's proper to even address that at this. But I mean, there's some stuff. The parking lot, landscaping, the bollards in the back need to be painted. A flagpole. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I feel needs to be touched up, but I don't know if that's, whose responsibility it is, but if you said that the building's been vacant for 3 or more years, I mean, it's good, and I can understand why you need to do what you need to do, and the way it is set up on the inside kind of makes sense to me, but I just worry about needing more spaces on the outside, and the way staff has calculated, it's coming up with a 40 space variation. For me, that's a lot.
Well, to begin with addressing landscaping, this is a picture of the building in Wheeling after we went over there, trimmed all the bushes, cut all the debris down, and cut the grass.
We cleaned the whole property.
No, I totally appreciate it, but I mean, I think it needs mulch and stuff. But I just I'm just making a general statement. I think there's some work that needs to be done, but speaking to the actual variation, that's where I'm having an issue with the 40 spaces.
If we can once again go back to that picture. That north side of the building, we can put all of our lifts. There is plenty of space in there to put the 8 lifts on the north side of the building, and consider all of that except that northwest corner where there's storage, a bathroom, storage warehouse up there. That whole space can be considered automotive, and then we're at 4,621 square feet of automotive, which equals to approximately 24 vehicles. Office space is only 404. I'm not sure where the double office space came from, but like I said, we're only office 1, 2, and 3, and that equals approximately 404 square feet. So we would need less than 2 spots for our office, and then warehouse is at 4,974 square feet, totaling less than 5. So what I am figuring is approximately 30 spaces. There's 24 spaces for the whole building. So you go from the 24 minus the 2 for suite B and C that are already being utilized. Keep 4 for suite A. It's a much smaller suite than B and C combined or D, E, and F combined. So you have 4 sites, so that leaves us 18 outside. We have 8 lifts, so you add the 8 lifts to the, or you really subtract the 8 lifts. So you have 30 minus the 18 outside, minus the 8 lifts. So we really need a variation of 4 spots.
Okay.
Does it make sense to you? I want you, okay, so do you understand what I'm saying about the?
I understand what you're
north
saying.
side?
No, I get it.
I'm glad you are, because
Well, I mean, I'm just stating I have a problem with the.
so the variation in front of us right now is for a variation of 40 spaces.
Right.
Right,
And,
no, we don't.
and that's based upon the configurations you gave us. If there's something that,
I don't believe it is. It's on what Brooke
yes,
had done.
Brooke, you have been working with the petitioner.
Yes.
And I
So-
assume you've seen the staff report, it says 40 on there.
Right, so the calculation is based upon where the locations of the lifts are in these open areas. Staff has counted this entire space as auto repair area. The plan says warehouse, but in reality, there's overhead garage doors on both sides. There's obviously going to need to be maneuvering of the vehicles to the lifts and perhaps staging of vehicles in this area. So that is why staff believes this entire space here and here is auto repair space.
So, and that's how many square feet? You have that in
It's
the,
calculated at 5,800. And the office space includes the break room and waiting area.
so you have auto repair at 5,800 square feet, warehouse at 3,600 square feet, and office at 800 square feet.
Right.
So, using your calculations, came up with a variation of 40.
Correct.
And that's why I state that if we need to maneuver spots, it's not an issue to put all the lifts and make that north side of the building all automotive and the south side of the building as open space, warehouse, and office. There's another 4 spots that can be utilized on the southwest side of the building there. It says open space warehouse. It's 53.26 square feet, which can hold 4 cars also, vehicles. And it also has that space actually has a drain through it already, I believe, from the tenant. He said the prior, it has triple basin. We wouldn't be doing any work in there because it's kind of a hall, if you will. And it goes nowhere. There's no door to where.
So you're proposing perhaps employee parking or some vehicle storage in this space? Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Inside?
Right. I
That would
have
increase the
actually.
parking.
Does that propose any fire issues? No.
No, it'd be no different than
Having the
automotive.
cars that they're working at.
Correct.
Right, okay. All right.
So we are more than willing to go ahead and make the north side of the building all lifts and the other side, the open space, warehouse and office
So-
space.
Continue.
I mean, so I have the variation concern, and I just have a concern about the condition of the building and exterior. I mean, and I don't know if this is the proper place to bring it up, but it definitely needs some work. I'm sorry.
I had a tuck pointer come out. He already gave me a quote for that. The roof, at one point in time, according to the receivership, is all brand new, heating and air conditions. It's not new, but
So,
it's 4 years old.
just for clarification, you've been sort of talking around it. Do you own this building?
No, we'd like to.
We're sort of in the process of working with the receiver and the bank to purchase it.
Okay, so have you signed any papers that says?
I, as of right now, I'm leasing to own. But that's not in
So
stone.
you signed a lease agreement without coming to us with approval for anything?
Well, the receiver wasn't exactly very easy to deal with, so we were working with the Realtor and the receiver, and we came down to an agreement that we would work together with the bank. But since it's a foreclosure procedure, it's not easy.
I have nothing else, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Blanova?
On the east side, is it a parking space?
No, that will be all clear. The north side of the building is.
Cell towers.
The north side of the building is fire lane. And it's a very small fire lane, which leads to, back up to the east side. There's 2 cell towers, and I believe, Ron, that was also fire lane, correct? Considered fire lane, the east side of the building?
On the east side, there's a driveway more than a fire lane, it's just a fire access route.
Access, I should say.
Because it goes to the east of where the cell tower equipment is. So, you know, there's some space up against the building, but you can actually see where the pad, it looks like a pad.
Yes.
By where one of the bollards is, up against the building. You know, that could be a couple spaces, but you've got all the doors there. And then where that seam in the roadway is going to the left on the screen, that's about a 20-foot wide width, which is the driveway that goes around the building, basically.
So you could get a couple spaces on that side if you
And I have.
It's possible.
squeezed it.
I have been to the shop a couple of times, pick up mail, talk to the other tenant, and quite a few times that, almost every time I've been there, whoever owns the cell towers, it seems like they're always being worked on or checked, or I don't know what needs to be done with that, not my concern, but they park there a lot of times next to these cell towers. They're big vans parked there.
Trailers.
Yeah.
Is it possible to put parking space? Is it even allowed?
On that side, I don't have a.
I believe there's enough room if we.
Kyle, can you, on that?
Be at an angle.
I don't know if that's so much an engineering concern, but they might have to show dimensionally that it could work with, you know, fire department being able to access, you know, that fire access route while having, I'm not sure if you were considering parallel parking towards the building or 90-degree parking, angled parking, but dimensionally it would have to be shown to work, at least in my opinion.
So that's not engineering? Would that be engineering?
I mean.
We would all work together on
Yeah.
that. But like Kyle said, we would need a scaled dimension site plan that would accurately show the location and size of the parking stalls.
But if it's something that I can get Lacasio to do that.
So, go ahead, Commissioner Blanova, I'm sorry.
That was the only concern, maybe the paving. There's a big hole by the blue garbage can.
We would like to do improvements to the building, unfortunately, without it being our building.
All
You
we're
know,
really allowed to do is
Yeah.
landscaping, window cleaning.
So.
We are gonna fill in the holes anyways, because I
Yeah.
can't have the cars going.
Of course.
I don't want to ruin my car either. But I think Steve would tell you that, you know, this is something, we don't want to come to Wheeling and then all of a sudden nothing. We want you to come to our shop.
Well, we want to.
The neighbors to come to our shop.
I work there.
We want the residents
I
to
have
come
one
to our
quick
shop.
question. How many cars you storing right now overnight inside of your facility?
Inside of the facility, well, we have 8 lifts, so basically 8 vehicles are inside the facility.
And for example, if you move into this location, how many you want to store inside?
Well, that.
You have a lot of room.
I have a lot of room, but we would store 1 on each lift, and then we have the open space of that long 53-foot section. And, I mean, if parking were an issue, we also have that open space on the bottom right corner, the southeast corner of the building that we could utilize for vehicles that are.
The previous owner used to park there, so he already had trench drains put in.
No, we're
It was
talking
his
about
personal thing.
the other. where if we put all the lifts on the north side, we could have the parking on the southeast side.
You also mentioned something about towing. Do you have a tow truck?
No.
No?
I have
So it's
3
just gonna be
services.
outside? Okay.
All 3 services are in Wheeling
Got
that I
it.
use.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, couple of things. So, where do you store, is all your garbage stored indoors?
It's just 2.5 yard.
Is it stored inside?
Right now, no.
Right now, it is not. The property on Wheeling,
The guy
We
that's
haven't really
renting
used
there
it.
has a large container, so we just figured to keep our small one outside, but if it has to be
Well,
in,
if it's
not a
got, if it's outside, you need to have, it needs to be enclosed.
we are willing to move it indoors at night.
There's plenty of room where I can keep it in the corner inside.
Okay, well, it should be, when you put the at night on there, it should
Well,
just-
after hours.
Well,
After-
it should be inside all the time.
And we can do that. We don't,
Yeah, it's gotta be, it's either inside all the time or outside
Or a
all
trash
the time.
enclosure,
Right, or a trash.
So I don't attract problems where I'm at now, I keep the metal container inside.
So speaking of where you're at right now, I'm looking at the site, Google Maps. And, do you have that whole building? No, you must not.
no.
There's 3, there's Aquatic, there's a subtenant, and then there's us.
Okay, I see a whole bunch of cars there. I don't know when this picture was taken.
They have 14 employees next door, the
Plus the 12
landlord.
trucks.
Well, I see about 20 of cars stacked in a manner that I would assume would be probably part of your,
They actually park one to the other because they all come at the same time, and they all leave at the same
Okay.
time with Aquatic for
So-
the most part.
all right. But with that said, you need to,
What picture?
we have right now, if we were to vote on this right now, I've got to assume that there, and this is just a basic assumption on my part, that this would not be favorable because we have a concern about the 40 parking spot variation.
Correct.
So that's big. That's very big. And that needs to be resolved. But the only way that can be resolved is if you change your configuration, that then Brooke can work, staff can work with figuring out what the true variation is right now. Because the true variation right now is at 40, and that, to me, is not acceptable at all. In addition, you have, you mentioned landscaping, that you're going to be responsible for landscaping. We need to see a landscape plan, what that would look like.
We don't plan on doing any landscaping, like, what we would eventually like to do is put a sign out front. I know I need a landscaping plan for that, I need a signage, but until we can own the property, we can't put a sign out front, we can't put money in the landscape. We will keep it clean, bushes cut, had everything trimmed. We will plant flowers, seasonal flowers. We are backing, snow plowing.
We talked to the receiver about what's there right now. Actually, that picture looks good. When we first started cleaning, it was horrible. So what we want to do is take it all out, and I wanted to put in evergreens. So, and flowers and brighten it up.
And that's something we would absolutely like to do, but
As far as-
unfortunately, I cannot put money
But as-
into something that's not.
What Mr. Powers was worried about as far as the building goes, I have estimates for everything that needs to be done on the outside. We're just, the process of foreclosure is far from easy.
No, and I got to say that I appreciate you going out and taking care of it, because I can tell, I feel your burning desire to want to do it, and, you know, actually addressing some of that stuff and realizing, I mean, I think that's good. But I don't know, we get this variation.
So, just continuing on, the overhead doors on the east side, are those going to be used?
I'm sorry, on what side?
The overhead doors on the east side?
The large ones.
Well,
You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 overhead doors
There's 7 overhead doors.
in total.
So there's
Yeah.
one on
I'm just speaking right now on the east side.
on the east side, 1, 2, 3, 4, that is correct.
Right. And the question is, are they going to be used?
Well, I think that what I need to do, and I did kind of configure the plan to have on the north side, all of the lifts. So as far as the east side, if we do all the lifts on the north side, it will only be the 2 on the east side and 2 on the west side doors that'll be utilized for automotive in and out.
Okay.
To the lifts, out of the lift.
And again, so if you need to modify your site plan to reduce the variation, you need to do that and work with staff.
Yes.
But
But I kind of tried, but I didn't know where we were. I did ask Brooke about it before the meeting, but I really didn't get an answer.
well, if it would have come before even this week.
No, this was a couple weeks ago.
If you heard anything, these things have to be to our staff by 2 weeks before. So, I assume you want to do that, right? You want to adjust this or, I guess there's an option for us to vote on it tonight the way it is with what the variation is that we have right now, which is 40 stalls. It's a 40 stall variation. And that, or you come back to us with a new plan that then could potentially reduce the variation, because what I'm hearing here is that, 40 is way too big, and I'm not certain how you can do it with any type of variation, but that's not for me, and
How
we're
long-
just
How long have you been at 1801?
7 years.
Okay. So in 7 years, we've never needed anywhere near 40 spots for parking. I understand it's according to code, but like I said, these buildings were built 60s, 70s, 80s, you know.
I understand that, but that's what we're working with.
Right. No, I completely understand.
Well, let me ask you a question. You're familiar with cars, so let us all help me out. There's 24 spaces outside, right?
Yes.
Okay. I need a total of 30 spots, but I have that open space on the bottom where I could put 4. So, I can keep pretty much the outside empty, other than my guys, because of the inside of this building. So I don't need 40 spots. I need 30 spots.
Max, according to code. Well, according to, if we move the lifts.
Yeah. I'd rather keep them all.
But there's only 32 on the property,
There's 24 on the
24.
property, actually.
24, and you need 30. There's 22, you said one for each of the existing sites, existing tenants, and 4 for the front. So that's 4, 6, minus 24, that's 18. So
Correct.
18 available for you.
Yes.
And you said you need 30.
Yes.
So that's a 12 car, even a 12 stall variation.
So we have 8 lifts inside. So you minus 8 lifts, and then we have 4 spots
can't-
on that southwest corner, leaving us actually even
So,
with no variance.
well, it's not true because, 8, you're not always going to have eight on the lift. Pardon?
I don't think that's the way we calculate it.
Yeah, it's not. So my recommendation for you is to come back with a new configuration and work with staff to see what the variation will truly be.
I can do that.
Okay?
And meaning work with staff, what do we need to?
So what we'll need is an accurate plan that shows your desired design. So if you're modifying the floor plan and intended use of the areas, so if this space down here is for parking, you would need to say parking.
Okay.
And then we'll calculate the new parking requirement.
Okay, and just so I'm clear, that break room / waiting area on the bottom by the open space, that is all considered office?
Correct.
Okay.
I excluded the restrooms from the calculation completely. Any other space that you've indicated, warehouse storage, that's warehouse. This was warehouse, this was counted as warehouse.
Okay.
But like I said, over here, this was all auto use.
Okay. So what I need to do is just reconfigure my floor plan and resubmit to you.
So Brooke, what do we do to the point of the condition of the building, parking lot, like the ballards, all of that wonderful stuff that needs to come with this?
I think they can be addressed in some way. I mean, would the petitioner be willing to do some of that work? The painting of the bollards, painting of the flagpole?
We don't have a problem making our business or Steve's business.
Okay, how about,
The only thing I can't do is tuck pointing, as of right now.
okay, how about striping? I think that came up during discussion.
I think the parking lot needs to be redone before
Yeah.
the striping.
So, right, so are you
I got
intending
an
on
estimate.
repairing the lot?
I'm gonna repair it to the point where it's fine. Even the receiver won't let me seal it.
Won't let you seal it.
He's an odd character. He'll let me take care of this place. It was $9,300 for me to have all of it repaired and resealed. I told him, work with me. I'm working with you. You pay it, it's on you.
Wow.
That was his expression. I told him I'll do everything to be presentable because the place was horrible. I mean, it went through 2 dumpsters.
Is there perhaps an option where we could give them a certain amount of time to do some of these improvements? Perhaps after they've purchased the property outright, have ownership, and is that something we could make as a condition of approval? If and when, let's say 18 months, the petitioner has ownership of the property, then they would make these improvements by such and such date?
Would everybody be agreeable to that?
We can grab some wood. Grab some time to grab some wood.
Right.
It would have to be rather specific, but we're talking about trying to knock down 40 parking spots variation. Even with the little bit of stuff that they're talking about doing, how many spaces are they going to gain?
I don't know, that's why we need
See,
to.
that's my problem. So, I don't want to tell this person that, do all this work and do everything, and they're only going to gain, 6 more spots, and we're still at, 32 spots that they're looking for a variation, and it's still way too high. So I don't want to give them any false hopes about, doing all this work and then coming back to us, and he's talking about buying a building, and he doesn't even know if he can use it.
Right,
So that's my point, and if you buy the whole building, then you could use the front of it as parking, just get rid of the tenants, and you can park all your stuff inside, and then you'll have plenty of parking, but I don't know if you want to do that.
That's the goal that I'm going at with this building. It's just,
Well,
it's not
You're putting the cart before the horse, then you're coming to us and you don't own the building.
But I went ahead and I took the 3-year lease on it, on the intentions of making this work. So I will do what necessary to make this work. I have
Well,
outside
again,
shops.
you've got a lease on a property that you don't even know you can run a business in yet.
I don't, but I took that chance.
okay. So, and right now, and that's where we're at from a level of, with the conditions that we would have in there. So, I don't know if you heard me say it on the last petition, but we're just a recommending board. So when this comes back with a recalculation And, it still could be unacceptable to us, and that's the risk you're going to have to take. Our expectation is that you will have this reconfigured, and understanding now the receivership and the bankruptcy, there's not much you can do with the exterior, but as Brooke and Mallory have indicated, we can add a condition to that, and that would go forward with the petition to the village board. But right now, I think you need to get this reconfigured so that Brooke can give us, staff can give us a number as to what that variation would be. How you're going to, if you're, as Brooke said, if in this open space at the bottom, you're going to park cars there or anything else. And I'll be honest with you, I'm going to do a surprise visit to your place. You're not even going to know I'm going to be there. And I'm going to see what the parking is there because and I will go there at various times to see what it is because that, I'll be truthful with you, that's an indication of how it's going to be in the future. And what
Are
you
you
have
talking
right
about
now.
Host or Shepherd?
I'm your existing shop.
Where we're
I've
at
been
now.
to you.
Okay, yeah.
Your
No, I didn't know
current shop.
because.
Yeah,
like I said,
well, we've all been to
And
you.
we welcome any of you. Stop by,
well,
come
we don't
in,
want-
Don't even talk to us, just,
The interior is not our concern.
Right.
It's the exterior.
And that's
where
kind of
cars
hard
are
to judge right now because of the 3 businesses in one building.
Understood.
And it's,
But
I know
you have
know
you
that,
have the
so-
similar situation. You have 3 businesses in a building, so.
Right, but in our lease, we know what we can utilize for parking and what each suite gets for parking.
So
Versus here, it's kind of mishmash.
So Brooke, our next public hearing would be the 11th. Yeah.
So the next opportunity for you to return would be October 11th. We would need your revised materials by 2 weeks prior, which would be September 27th. Is that feasible for you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get a motion to continue to October 11th.
If I could ask real quick, did you need anything for fire? There was one thing on fire. I don't know if you want to go through that now or just at the continuation
You can do it then.
then?
Right, and, for instance, we talked about trash. Designate where the trash is going to be inside. I assume you're going to put it inside. Well, just designate it.
Yeah,
on
I
your
will,
plan.
absolutely, on the floor plan, put that.
So I have a motion to continue to October 11th.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Powers, second by Commissioner Blanova. Mr. Powers.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Blanova?
Yes?
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
And Chairman Rafato?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
You too.
Approval of minutes for August 23rd.
Patty, before you leave.
Patty?
I have a sheet for you.
Sorry.
I have a sheet that lists all the conditions we talked about.
Can I make a motion?
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
We don't need to sign it, do we?
No. Okay, and then if you have questions, you can call me.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alrighty, other business. Brooke.
Next week, we have scheduled a special meeting that will accommodate 2 items. Old Munich is returning, and also the pizza manufacturing facility at 236 Egidi will also be on that agenda. We're holding the special meeting because, as a reminder, we are canceling the September 27th meeting. So, so next week, we'll have a meeting, and then the following meeting will be October 11th.
Great, thank you. Any other
No.
Commissioner Johnson?
Thank you. Tomorrow afternoon, between 2 and 4, the Wheeling Police and Human Services Departments are hosting a extravaganza for senior resources, featuring things like the Wheeling Township Senior and Disabled Services, local assisted living communities, Catholic Charities, Lutheran Home, a lot of different resources for our senior citizens. It's going to be tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 4, at the Shur Hadash Synagogue at 200 West Dundee, basically right across the street. Thank you.
Commissioner Blanova?
I have nothing, sir.
Commissioner Powers?
Nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Creech?
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
I have something, Mr. Chairman.
You do?
Can we please take a vote on continuing the special use or variation? We only took a vote on one of them.
Oh, for the last one?
Yes.
Yes. So this would be docket number 2018-24A, the variation,
Okay,
Motion to continue.
to October 11th.
to October 11th, yes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Powers, second by Commissioner
Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary.
Got a promotion.
Oh, I don't want a promotion. Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
And Chairman Rafato?
Yes. Okay, I will, so we have a meeting next week. We need a quorum of 4. Everybody is going to be there except me. So right now, everybody's going to be there. So,
Don, you got a promotion.
Yep, I got the promotion.
right, yep. So please ensure that we have a quorum of, we need at least 4. I talked to Commissioner Kalis today. He said he was a little under the weather. He will be there, so that's 5 for sure. I'm not, Commissioner Dorban, I'm sure will be there also. So thank you for that. Thank you for being flexible. I had just scheduled something for out of town that I just couldn't get out of. So, and Old Munich came to us. They wanted to come to tonight's meeting, but we just did not have time, staff did not have time to review that. In addition, a lot of folks were at the Helping Hands Pig Roast, great organization. The money's well spent that they use. It was a great afternoon. And that's all I have. Thank you. So, to a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.